Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's kick off today's video with a story where a brand new Camaro, 3 buckets of driveway sealer, and 1 entitled customer collide. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Manager backed me up when a customer tried to get me fired for a mess he caused in his new Camaro. Back in the early 80s, fresh out of high school and eager to make some money, I landed a job in the stockroom of a large department store. The kind of place that sold everything from socks to lawn furniture. It was the kind of job where one minute you'd be breaking down pallets of detergent and the next you were hauling around wheelbarrows or patio sets for customers who just dropped a couple $100. One hot summer afternoon, I got a call over the store intercom. A customer had purchased 3 large buckets of driveway sealer and needed help loading them into his car. Easy enough. I clocked out of the back room and headed to the operator's window, where the customer stood waiting with his receipt. He was a well-dressed guy in his late 30s, all confidence and smug smiles. He waved his receipt like a golden ticket and gestured toward the parking lot. "Car's right out front," he said. We walked outside and I immediately spotted it, a brand new gleaming red Chevy Berlinetta Camaro. That thing was showroom fresh, and you could practically smell the new car scent wafting from the vents. It had spotless white interior, leather seats, and had probably never seen a drop of sweat, and carpet so clean you could eat off it. Now these buckets of sealer weren't just heavy, they were messy, the kind of thing you handle with gloves because if it gets on you, you'll be scrubbing for hours. As we approached the car, the guy pops the door and motions toward the rear footwells. "Just put them behind the seats," he says, nodding toward the pristine carpet. I paused. "Sir, I really don't think that's a good idea. This stuff's messy. If it leaks or even shifts the wrong way, it's going to stain your carpet." He gave me a dismissive wave. "Just put them in the back. It'll be fine." So I did what I was told. I lifted the first bucket and gently leaned it into place, but the second it touched the carpet, I saw it, a black ring where the bottom had made contact. It wasn't even a leak, just some residue stuck to the bottom from being in the stockroom, and on that clean white carpet, it looked like a crime scene. Sir," I started, but he'd already noticed. His jaw dropped and the rage flared instantly. "What the hell did you do? Look at that, you ruined my carpet." He stormed off to the front of the store, demanding to speak to a manager, shouting loud enough to turn heads across the lot. I followed, receipt in hand, knowing this was about to get interesting. The manager on duty that day was a no-nonsense guy named Ray, former Navy, buzz cut, and about as straight to the point as they come. He met us near the operator's window, listened quietly while Camaro Man exploded about how we sabotaged his brand new car and should be fired on the spot. Ray turned to me. "What happened?" I explained calmly. He asked me to put the buckets behind the seats. I told him it wasn't a good idea. He insisted. I did what he told me, and there was some residue on the bottom of the bucket. I didn't notice it until it touched the carpet. Ray nodded, turned to the customer, and said something I'll never forget. "Then it's your problem." The guy blinked. "Excuse me?" Ray didn't budge. "He advised you, you insisted. We're not responsible for where you tell us to place your items in your personal vehicle. If you didn't want to risk your interior, you should have brought something to protect it. Or listen to my employee." The man turned beet red. He sputtered a few more angry words, something about lawsuits and never shopping here again. Ray shrugged. "That's your choice, sir. Have a nice day." With that, the man stormed out, slammed his car door, and sped off like he was trying to peel away from his embarrassment. I turned to Ray, still stunned. "You're not mad?" He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "Mad? Hell no. You did the right thing. Some people just don't like hearing it." That day stuck with me for years, not because of the Camaro or the stain, but because of how my manager backed me up. In retail, that's rare. Most managers would have thrown me under the bus just to keep a loud customer happy, but Ray didn't blink. Always bring a drop cloth if you care about your interior, and maybe don't ignore the person whose job is literally to carry the heavy, messy stuff. Dude should have just bought a cheap plastic drop cloth from the paint department. I've done that many times, and I don't even have a nice car. I'm mildly surprised he didn't have you put them on the seat. And our second story. Rules are made to be broken. Long ago, but not too long ago, I worked at a store that had a return policy of 90 days. If you brought in the item undamaged with a receipt within that time frame, we would happily and easily complete the return and send you on your merry way. One day, a woman comes in with an item to return. I scan a receipt as this is the easiest way to complete a return and the system won't scan it in, it just comes up with an error. So then I manually input the receipt and I see what's wrong with it. Turns out she'd bought it something like 93 days ago, just over the 90-day period. Now at this point, there's nothing I can do to give her the full price of whatever she wanted to return, as I was just a humble worker bee. So I gave her two options. I can run this as a return without a receipt, but that'll give her the lowest price the item's been in the past 60 days or so. This store constantly had very large sales. I'd guess she'd be getting 60% of the full price she paid. And the money can only be put on a store gift card, or I can call a manager up to see what they can do. She goes with option 2. Okay, no problem. Means the problem is out of my hands. I'm just here for the ride now, as there weren't any other people in line. Manager comes up, explains the 90-day return policy. That's very clearly stated on the receipt, as well as the badass sign above the counter saying the same thing I did. We can't return it unless we do a return without a receipt. The next words out of the woman's mouth were, "But that's ridiculous. Rules are made to be broken." Eventually, manager told her to take it or leave it. She took the store gift card. Bonus story, had an older lady come in one time with an item to return with a receipt. Was like a skein of yarn or something. The receipt was 5 years old. Like, what? And our next story. I'm technically on the clock, just not for here. Had a run-in with a Karen that thought I was an employee of a sandwich shop while I was waiting in line. For context, I worked going door-to-door for a utility company at the time with a team of 5. We all dress the same in black with our company logos, and in bad weather, we have very warm matching raincoats also with the logo. We also have badges with our names on them and the company's info, so people know we aren't random grifters. On this particular day in my area, there was a downpour so bad that it was one of only 2 times in 4 years that our leadership decided to pull us out of the field. As this is rare, we don't really have a protocol in place, and we were told to hunker down nearby with the company van to see if it gets better before they send us home for the day or back out. Due to this, we decided to check out a small sandwich shop one of the guys swears is the best in the area. All of us, being wet and hungry, think this sounds great and head right on over to get some food while still on the clock and getting paid till we hear back. Place is small but looks decent. Also, part convenience store. They don't have a counter you order at, but an employee that walks around and takes orders, and with someone already talking to him, I know it's going to be a minute until all 5 of us get our orders in, so I like to go last and check around the store as I'm in no hurry. After looking around, I see my coworkers have all had their orders in, so I go up to do mine. Due to this, my order's done last and has a bit of delay. My 4 coworkers are all sitting down and starting to eat at this point while I wait for my sandwich, when an older lady walks up to me and starts saying a sandwich order without as much as a hello. I cut her off to say, "Oh, I don't work here," to which I get the confusing reply, "So you're working, you just don't work here?" Sure. And an eye roll followed by her starting her order again. I respond by simply putting my hand up to cut her off, point to the logo on my jacket, which is still soaked by the way, and ask, "Does this look like the store's name to you?" I don't remember if she said anything back, but my order got announced at this point, so I stepped away, grabbed my sandwich, and smiled at her as I walked by her again to sit with the 4 people dressed identically to me that were already eating and dig in. Now you'd think this would be the end of it, with me just eating my sandwich while basking in Karen's indignation, but no. She stomped off and finds the proper person to speak with, drags him back into view, and starts complaining about me to him while he desperately tries to explain that I don't work there. By the time we finished eating and we were leaving, I still don't think she'd placed an order. Some people think if they complain enough, you'll magically become an employee, and then they'll fire you. And our last story. Karen cut down our trees for a better view. The court made her regret it. Our house sits on top of a sloped lot, and for over a decade we enjoyed a quiet, peaceful yard lined with tall evergreens and a thick wall of shrubs. They weren't just for privacy, they were part of the character of the property. The trees helped block noise from the street, gave shade in the summer, and acted as a natural fence along our back property line. Our elderly neighbor below loved the way it all looked. Then he moved to assisted living and sold the home to, You guessed it, a couple we now refer to as Karen and Bob. They were the kind of people who introduced themselves by complaining when the first day they blocked the road with the boat trailer, ignored everyone who politely asked them to move it, and left their bark-happy dog out in the yard overnight. Bob was quiet, just kind of nodded a lot, and trailed behind Karen like a scared Roomba. Karen, on the other hand, seemed to have made it her personal mission to pick a fight with everyone on the block. Our turn came when she rang our doorbell one Saturday morning, arms crossed, frown locked in place. Karen, we need to talk about those trees. Me, what about them? Karen, they block our view. Could you trim them or take them down? They're right in our line of sight from our back deck. To be clear, there's not exactly a view down there. The slope is steep, and what she could maybe see past our trees were the side walls of other people's homes. Our greenery just gave her something nicer to look at than beige vinyl siding and rooftops. I politely said no. The trees were healthy on our side of the fence and posed no threat to power lines or structures. She huffed and said something snarky about selfish neighbors before storming back downhill. So we let the trees grow. I mean, if Karen didn't like them before, she was really going to hate them now. No trimming, no thinning. They filled in even more. The backyard felt like a private retreat, shaded, quiet, and lush. That's when the real drama started. We were away one weekend visiting family. Came back Sunday evening to find something felt wrong. The fence was fine, nothing stolen. But then we saw it. Stumps, clean cuts. Our trees gone. The thick screen of evergreens and shrubs along the rear of our lot had been completely cleared. Sawdust littered the grass, branches broken and left behind. It looked like someone had driven a chainsaw through our privacy and vanished. We were stunned, then furious. A neighbor tipped us off. He said a crew showed up Saturday morning, spent several hours cutting down everything along the back fence. Said he asked them if we'd hired them, and they just said, yep, homeowner's request. We knew who was behind it. We marched straight to Karen's door. She opened it like nothing had happened. Me, did you have someone cut down our trees? Karen, SMUG. They were blocking the view, and honestly, they looked unkempt. It's better for everyone. You should be thanking me. Me. You realize that was our property, right? Those trees were inside our fence line? Karen, it's not a big deal. My brother's a lawyer. Don't even bother trying to sue. Oh, Karen, that was your first mistake. Turns out we didn't need to bother trying at all. It was an open and shut case. We had time-stamped photos from just a week before showing the trees in perfect health. Our property survey clearly showed the fence and trees were fully on our land. We got a copy of the tree service's invoice with her name on it. She claimed we'd given permission, but couldn't produce a shred of documentation or messages, and her lawyer brother was nowhere to be found. The judge wasn't amused. The verdict? Karen and Bob were ordered to pay for replacement landscaping, mature trees, not saplings. They had to cover the cost of professional cleanup. Additional compensation was awarded for loss of privacy and property value, and they were hit with a legal injunction. No entry onto our property, no contact with contractors about our property, no touching the fence line, not even leaf blowing near it. Oh, and the tree company fined for failing to obtain written permission from the actual homeowner before beginning work. Karen stormed out of court furious, ranting about vindictive neighbors and how we were ruining her life. Bob followed behind, carrying her handbag and looking like he'd rather evaporate. Now, we've replanted even denser, even taller trees, fast-growing evergreens, the kind that create a literal wall of green, no gaps, no views, just leafy justice. So thanks, Karen, for giving us the push we needed to make our yard even more private. Next time you want a better view, maybe buy a postcard. And the irony runs deep. The couple who demanded everyone cater to their sightlines now have a court order that forbids them from even waving a leaf blower near someone else's hedge. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.